What up, y'all? It's the Electric Eye and my review today. By the way, hope everyone's doing well in the coronavirus madness out there. A lot of albums have been pushed back, and I'm not really, I guess, enough of an industry expert to understand why you'd want to push your album back due to coronavirus, other than you're expecting a lot more sales afterwards, from actual like foot traffic and record stores. But if you're someone who has an established fan base like the artist I'm here to talk about today, it makes sense to me. Put the album out, let people soak it up while they're in quarantine, like Nightwish did, or Waxahachie's new album, or Testament, whatever. So my review today is Danzig sings Elvis, 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 Elvis. Hotly anticipated album. I'm glad they didn't push this one back. And anticipated in an ironic way, but in a sincere way too, especially if you're like me and you're exactly in the target audience of people who are both big diehard Elvis fans as well as being diehard Danzig fans. And there's probably more crossover in that Venn diagram than you would necessarily think. When I was a teenager and I first got into Danzig, the way I would always tell people who he was, what he sounded like, was to immediately be like, oh, he's like the evil Elvis, And you're like, okay, yeah, cool. And it seems like everybody organically figured that out at the same time, that Danzig was the evil Elvis, because nobody told me that. But every other Danzig fan I would bump into as I got older was like, yeah, evil Elvis, yeah, Danzig. Yeah, so anyway, so this, that's before you even knew that he was like an actual diehard Elvis fan in his life, and he would cover with Sam Hain and with the Misfits, and solo he would cover Elvis songs like Trouble and stuff. I mean, just look into his eyes. He's definitely trouble. Look. Okay, so this album is produced by himself, released on the Evil Live imprint under Cleopatra Records. And you can definitely tell that it's produced by himself. First off, I'll go ahead and say the album is fine. Like, it's cool. I don't know who I would really super recommend it to, other than, again, people who are both Elvis and Danzig fans, because if you were just a diehard Elvis fan, I don't know why you'd go this far down the list. You'd be like, oh, that one metal boy, he's got the Danzig tribute record. The Elvis tribute record. I gotta hear it. I don't know. Or probably more likely you're just a big Danzig fan. But either way, it's a really fun exercise. But if you're expecting Danzig to really make these his own, you might be a little disappointed. They're pretty straight renditions for the most part. There are some interesting flourishes, and obviously it's, Danzig's voice is pretty distinct. But, the instrumentation is fairly traditional. He has Tommy Victor and Joey Castillo playing on it. Tommy Victor doing guitars and Joey Castillo doing drums. And those are guys that have played on recent Danzig records, but there's really they never slide into the metal world at all on this record. So if you're hoping for that, you might be disappointed. And the instrumentation is really oddly tamped down. Everything's very quiet except for his vocals, which are super on top of the mix and just slathered in slapback reverb. It's crazy how it sounds. But, I found myself enjoying it pretty good. There's even buzzing guitars, but they have no edge to them because they're so, down in the mix. So, it's cool, and he talks about it in his liner notes that he wanted to do it just as a passion project. And that's the thing that actually gives the album its charm. As you can tell, listen to it, this was a thing Danzig just really wanted to do. He was probably told by everyone around him that it was ill-advised, and maybe it was, but he just went ahead and did it anyways. And he picked songs that are not the stereotypical Elvis covers at all. He doesn't do Suspicious Minds or Jailhouse Rock or Hound Dog, but he does do some really cool stuff. He does One Night, which is one of the highlights from this covers album. First in line, Baby Let's Play House. He does some of the songs that are dismissed as Elvis's movie songs, and that whole era of Elvis's career by many aficionados is kind of like, whatever, it wasn't the real stuff, even though there are a lot of great songs in that era for Elvis. Fever, he had to do Fever. That one's tailor-made for Danzig's style. And he does Pocket Full of Rainbows. Speaking of songs from movies and stuff that don't seem like Danzig songs, that's got to be one of the best examples. His voice sounds pretty good. I feel like maybe his voice is either aging just a little bit, and we're hearing it or maybe we've just really never heard Danzig try to sing this tenderly, because he's doing straight love songs for the most part. Some of them are failed love, but love songs nonetheless. And we're hearing a different side of him vocally. He's got some rasp, but he might just be leaning into that. And it is still really cool to hear. He produced it himself. He's talking about doing some shows. Now, I don't know how that's going to work with COVID-19 postponing the process and what various things he'll be on to next, like his vampire spaghetti western. Shout out to everybody else who enjoyed Veronica. My peeps. But he was talking about doing like 400 or 500 people club shows, basically, like tables all the way up to the stage. Very loungy. And that sounds awesome if he took that on tour. If he's only talking about doing a couple shows in California, but if it came near me, I would definitely go and have a nice little cocktail and enjoy watching Evil Elvis run through an Elvis set. That sounds like a blast, but we'll see what happens with that. Yeah, the charm is its overwhelming sincerity. And if you can't get behind that, then you're probably not going to have a super great time with this record, just because it's not the best Elvis renditions you're going to hear, and it's not Danzig in his natural element either, but it was a labor of love, and it's really fun for that. And in a world where sincerity is not necessarily honored as much as maybe it should be, that's really cool to hear. As far as the actual packaging on the record, it's nice, very retro-looking 60s Elvis album cover with even the Elvis logo. It's got some liner notes from Glenn here in the middle. Nothing special on the liner notes inside, but nice, heavy vinyl. Sounds good. Again, the production is weird, but it's got charm. So in honor of the 68th special, I'm going to have to give this record a 6.8. It's not my favorite thing. I'm not going to go to it all the time, but put it on, pour yourself like a gin and tonic or something, and just kind of relax with it. Not half bad. So, till we find out more about what he's going to do next. He said that he has B-sides from it, but he's not going to do a part 2 or anything, at least not yet. He's looking at maybe putting out a couple as B-sides, which I would still be into. When I saw a couple things that he had recorded but didn't put on this album, I still found myself going like, ooh, okay, all right. So there's still some people out there like me that will clamor for whatever his next thing is. Either way, happy it happened, and go check it out. That's how the Electric Guy sees it.